Could you take us back to the beginning? How did you discover your passion for the arts and storytelling?
Of course, of course. The week before my fourth birthday, and I remember it this way because my mom tells the story the exact same every time. She took me to see Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. And I had this aha moment in the audience where I was like, oh, those are adults and they're playing pretend and it's their job. So that's the job I want because they're doing what I do at home every day. And it was pretty much from that instance that I realized I wanted to be a performer and I wanted to be on stage. It was something I was doing naturally. I just didn't realize it was a career until that moment.
Hmm. That actually might be the answer to this next question. But when you look at your career as a whole, who or what's had the biggest influence, either personally or professionally?
For sure, it was the fact that my mom would always make going to a Broadway show what we did to like celebrate a special occasion. If it were my birthday, sometimes it'd be a Christmas present. And it was the early exposure that definitely had the biggest influence on my life. And then just growing up and seeing certain actors on the television, right? So seeing Gabrielle Union, Regina King, those Cicely Tyson, like anytime I would see one of them in a piece of work, I'd be like, oh, okay, I can do this. I can be in a movie, I can be in a television screen. They just sort of like opened up those possibilities for me. So it was a combination of those two things.
And you've had a lot of success already in your young career. When you look back, is there a particular moment that stands out to you?
I would say when I got the call to say that I had booked Still Starcross, that moment will always stand out to me because you work so hard, and especially when you want to be a performer from as young as I did, like you hear a lot of, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure you don't want to do something else? It's going to be really, really hard. So people, they love you, so they're worried for you. But when I got that job, it was just like, okay, all the hard work was worth it. It was a proof of the concept that I had in my head my whole life.
Mm.
And, I've gotten other jobs since then and bigger roles and roles that I'm equally as excited about and passionate about. But just that first break of somebody saying, we believe in you enough to give you a series regular role in an expensive production, with a fancy name attached. That moment in time will just always stand out to me. It was such a joyous celebratory moment.
And you've got a new series out now. Can you tell us about the Kings of Napa and your character in the series?
Of course. So the Kings of Napa is a new soapy family drama on OWN that focuses on the King family who own a vineyard in Napa Valley. In the first episode, there's a power vacuum that's created in the company by the sudden exit of our father. And we see the characters sort of grapple with, who really knows what's best for their company and for the family. My character is catapulted to be president of the winery, and her brothers, my younger brother is supportive, my older brother, not so much. And so he spends a lot of the first season trying to challenge me, trying to oust me, trying to make a case for why it should be him and not me. And then on top of that, there's an extortionist that pops up. So we were dealing with that drama. There are competing vineyards that are trying to challenge our position and standing in the industry and in the community. So you see us deal with that. You see us deal with our own interpersonal relationship dramas and our drama within our family. And my character, August, she's bold and she's courageous and she has big vision. She definitely makes mistakes. She doesn't know necessarily she has an idea of what she wants to accomplish, but she's never been in this type of position before. So she's not ready for all the challenges. She's not ready for all the secrets that spill out about her father. But you see her fall down and get up and try again. Like she is not giving up on her dream for her family or for the company at all. So that's where the first season, starts. It's the challenges we see. And that's kind of like a rundown of the character.
Yeah, you've played a wide range of characters throughout your career. What was it about August and this script that attracted you to this project?
Well, I have played a wide range of characters, but I think that August was closest to my life experience, not in terms terms of the resources or the wealth that her family has, but in terms of her exposure to the rest of the world and her ease, her comfort with that, her spark of her creative spark and her big vision, all of those were things that I immediately connected to. And you know, the allure of playing somebody who has the resources to dress however she wants was definitely attractive, because I was like, oh, she's going to be fun to play too. It's not only that I can see a lot of myself in her, but I knew that the setting, you know, the clothing, the juiciness of the role, I just knew that it was going to be really, really exciting. And it was also exciting to be in a leadership position. Not only is the character in a leadership position, but to be a leading the lead role. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I think I'm ready for this next step in my career. You know, I've watched from, you know, playing little sister to Lashana Lynch on Still Star-Crossed. I've watched from playing Kristen on FBI. I've seen how the number one on a set conducts himself, and I think I can do this. And so all of those things were a big draw for me in terms of going after this role and attacking it once I got it.
And speaking of that next step, you shared on social media how much this role has meant to you. Has anything surprised you about the experience? What's been the biggest takeaway for you as a creative and person?
Did anything surprise me? You know what surprised me was um, how influential to the entire set my attitude and my and the way I carried myself would be. I
Mm.
definitely knew that, okay, the way that I interact with my cast is going to affect how we are able to play on screen. I was very surprised by the fact that I had such a big cast full of wonderful human beings, because it's not always that way. There's always somebody that you're like, okay, maybe we're not going to be as close, you know, maybe they're not my cup of tea, but there's, you know, 12 of us who are between series regulars and recurrings who are in a lot of the episodes. There's 12 of us, and we just got along famously sort of from the jump. But to see how my just basically how I carried myself would affect everyone else, you know, the crew, hair and makeup, and how grateful they were that I mean, I'm the kind of person, I like to have a good social vibe. I don't like there to be tension. It throws me off. I like everybody to be having a good time, because I think that's the way we all do our best work. At least that's the best way for me to do my work. And so at the end of the season, when we're recapping and we're all in our feelings and they're telling me, you know, oh, how you came to set really changed, you know, how we approached our day. That was something that I really wasn't thinking about. It was just what was comfortable for me. So taking away just the influence that you have on people, and to be aware of that next time, because I could have easily come into set having a bad day or feeling tired and not been aware of how that was going to affect everybody else. But now I am, and I'll always remember that moving forward.
Yeah, great answer. And there's such a great chemistry that comes off the screen between you and the rest of the cast. How did you all build that bond?
So we started filming this in Toronto in April of last year, and they were back to a level 1 shutdown. So like
Mm.
sort of like the beginning of COVID for us. That's the kind of shutdown they were in. Nothing was open. You could only get essential goods. So we weren't able to have like a cast dinner, which is usually how you would start off a project like this, especially playing a family. So once I got everybody's contact information, I sent out an email and I was like, hey guys, you know, I would love to just sort of lay eyes on each other before we get on set, especially playing a family. Would you be willing to hop on a Zoom? Would you guys be willing to like have individual phone calls? Just try to talk through the scripts in our individual relationships, you know, anything that you guys are willing to do in order to make contact, like, please let me know. And everybody was really receptive. We hopped on that Zoom. It was amazing because I could see right away, first of all, why everybody was cast, but also that there was a very good synergy between us. And then it just started from there. We had that, we connected, and then everybody sort of broke out and called each other and talked through. It was a lot like a theater company, really, a
Mm.
lot more like that than any other experience I've had. And I think it was because we were forced to try to find some way to connect while we were waiting out our 2-week quarantine before we could get on set. You know, we just had to figure out some way to build those connections. And that was amazing, because as soon as we stepped on set, now we had all this background information. We had a little bit of time to connect with each other. And then we were able to sort of step right in to these like family dynamics.
Speaking of those family dynamics, we're going to see this
Mhm.
power struggle amongst all of the characters throughout the first season. Which of
Mhm.
August's relationships was your favorite to explore in season one, and why?
That's a good one. I think the relationship that she has with her mother was my favorite because mother-daughter relationships are very complicated, right? It was easy for me to look at Isaiah and say, "Oh, I'm daddy's girl. I know how to step right into this, right? I'm the favorite child. He won't admit it, but I am, and I knew how to play this." With my mom, it was complicated because I think even when you love, even when there's deep love and there's not like a traumatic experience between you, there's always sort of I think trying to prove that like you can be the woman that they are trying to raise you to be. And my mom is going through a traumatic experience at the beginning of this as well. It's not just that she loses, this the sort of structure that she's used to with her husband exiting the company, but there's so much that comes out about him that she has to deal with. And so trying to figure out, okay, how is August going to handle her mom, who she's always looked up to, who normally has it together, falling apart, right? How is she going to handle how her mom takes out certain things on other family members? That's not really their fault, but she's just looking for a way to lash out. And
Mm.
that journey through the season of looking at my mom always has it together to now she's falling apart. What are we going to do to trying to mend our relationships with other family members and trying to mend the parts of our relationship that maybe we haven't even broached up until this moment, until we're in this pressure cooker situation. It was such a dynamic and true journey to what I think mothers and daughters experience,
Yeah.
that it really gave us a lot to dig into dramatically throughout the season.
Yeah, great answer. And the show's going to tackle so many timely and relevant themes within the series. Was there one in particular that hit home for you?
I think the struggle that is involved with a Black family trying to build
Mm.
generational wealth and legacy, especially in an environment where it's not an industry where you see a lot of Black-owned family vineyards, and they are trying to. First of all, they're dealing with family mess, right? So they're trying to keep that information to themselves while also advancing the company, while also dealing with outside challenges trying to take down the company. And I just think seeing all the different ways in which Black families are sort of challenged when they're trying to build a legacy, not just build up for like one generation or one character trying to say, okay, I'm going to make it out of this situation. They've already come up, right? When we've met them, they're not starting from the bottom. Now they're here. No. They're like in a great place, but it's how do we maintain that for the generations down the line? And I think that's very, very challenging in a lot of ways that we don't talk about. And I love that you see the many different challenges that a Black family can face trying to do that.
Mm. Great answer. And final question for you. What do you hope audiences take away after they see the first season? And what can you tease about August's journey throughout?
Well, I hope that audiences take away that, first of all, money does not preclude you from having mess within your family. In fact, I think all families are messy, and as much of a veneer as we can put up, like, don't fall for the hype. Everybody has their issues, their flaws, and their drama. And I think that we need to see more of that because I think sometimes people idolize wealth and status in a way
Mm.
that I don't know that's necessarily deserved. So I hope people look at that, they see that, and they also realize that just because families have challenges, you don't have to break apart. Like you can lean in and fight through it too, because ultimately, we're not going to end the season necessarily everything is resolved, but I do think we end the season with certain characters and certain relationships that are challenged throughout, realizing, okay, but in order to deal with these outside forces, we have to figure our mess out. And we have to figure out, like, you want what's best for the company. I want what's best for the company and the family. We might disagree, but we have to come together because we're really all we have. We're guaranteed in the world. So I hope that people walk away with those two things because those are the things that touched me the most. And I think what we're going to see for August throughout the season is a woman who is fully capable to be a leader. She just needed a shot. And it's not that she's going to do it perfectly, but we need to give that space, and then also give the space for failure and coming back from it, because that's the only way you learn. And what I love about this character is in the beginning, she thinks she's ready. She's not yet. By the end of the season, she has faced so many challenges and like fought so hard to overcome them that by the end, I think she feels, and I felt, okay, now you're a boss, and heavy is the head that wears a crown. It doesn't mean the challenges are done, but she's proven to herself, and I think to her family, and hopefully to the audience, that actually she was really ready for this opportunity, as much as she might not have looked like the automatic fit from the start.